أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So what's the total number of Khuddam in UK?
The registered figure is 1,111.
First of all, I turn to the issue of attendance. My overall impression this year has been that not only there was a greater number of Khuddam attending this Ijtema, but visibly there was more enthusiasm shown by them. And the participation in all events was very full and showed deep interest and sort of personal involvement. So this is a good sign of overall improvement in the spirit of Khuddam and their dedication to Majlis. As far as the attendance figures are concerned, I doubt if the registration records are right, because not only I had the same impression, but also others, the guests who used to come and meet me, they all expressed this opinion that this year's Ijtema was fuller by a large margin than the last year's. So I don't know what the facts are, but it seems it has been better attended. Moreover, one feature which I noticed particularly, which was very heartening, was the overall representation of all ethnic groups. Ahmadiyyat is not divided in groups at all, but it's like a bouquet of different flowers. So if each flower can be referred to as an ethnic group, then this year the presentation of Khuddamul Ahmadiyya Ijtema was well represented by all the newcomers from different walks of life and different nationalities. This is a very encouraging sign. We must get mended into one single entity, that of Ahmadiyyat. And our cultural or geographical, regional, racial backgrounds must be left home when we attend or come to attend any Jamaat meeting or Jamaat function. This was obvious this year with the grace of Allah. It's a better mending than ever before which I have seen this year. But there's a lot left to be improved. Regarding the attendance and again representation of various groups which have to be referred to as groups, but in Ahmadiyyat, as I told you, there is no groups at all. But for the sake of understanding the problem better, I am just referring to them as groups. Say for instance, Bosnian Ahmadis, Albanian Ahmadis, Ahmadis from various parts of Africa, from West Indies, the British Ahmadis, etc. They have to be fully mended into one whole of Ahmadiyyat, so that they are so beautifully mended, there is no difference seen in their qualities as being Ahmadiyya. That is what I am aiming at. And in this regard, I think there is much to be improved. And also the attendance, although it is better than before, can still be further improved if you compare by the overall figures of Khuddamul Ahmadiyya, then there is still a large gap of 400 some or 500. How much?
There are, this figure which I am giving you was Khuddam and Atfal, but 1100 Khuddam and about 600 Atfal.
So altogether it's 1900. 1800.
Sorry,
1700.
1700.
1700. 11, you said 11 and 6?
11.
Oh, so 1700. So out of 1700, less than 700 attended.
That is the registered figure, but
No, I'm talking about registered figure. I'm comparing the registered figure against a registered figure. Right? So last night I was thinking over this and a new idea struck me. I think it's worthwhile trying. Let's hold 2 Ijtemas annually. One Ijtema which is ordinary, regular, and one Ijtema where the condition would be that only those come who never come before. See? So a new organization will have to be made, a new setup, whereby the workers will also be chosen from those who always distance themselves from the activity and keep hiding somewhere. So when will we fix the date of that Ijtema? I'm really enthusiastic about it.
with your permission, we can fix it.
Ma'am?
With your permission, we can fix it in next 3-4 months.
No, it's too early. You must have time to build, to take care of their spiritual deficiencies and improve their quality and so on and so forth. So I think it should require a few months at least. So make a completely new setup, only you will remain the same. The rest should be a completely new joint, right? And let's see, be on the careful side. Don't buy all the food which you estimate. Buy it on the condition of being returnable. But I hope you won't have to do that. So let's try there and see how many people come and let's see their faces at least once. Huh? But I'm sure once they show up, they will continue to show up forever. Because this is my experience with those Ahmadis who once distanced themselves long ago, but they happen to come not only to an Ijtema, not to an Ijtema, but just to watch an MTA program. And this gravitated them back so powerfully into Ahmadiyya that every other day I keep receiving letters from such Ahmadis, letters of confession of shame and saying, please take us back. What we have seen is really the place we should always have belonged. So I'm sure, inshallah, this new trial will be successful and those who once come at last would come forever. And next time your Ijtema would be a fuller Ijtema in every sense of the word. There is one thing which I thought I suggest to you, and the other thing is about this gourmet contest. I call it a gourmet contest, and that is why I suggested that the judges should have been given prizes. Because how efficiently they worked was visible from their bulging out bellies. I was really afraid for some of them. I said, take good care of yourself tonight. And next day they are alive and kicking, That is the beauty of food prepared with good intentions. But they did their job well, I must say. Also, some Ansar who participated in your Ijtema, stole the limelight. Because as I was eating, somebody pointed out in the direction of the desk and said, look here, it is here that the Ansar beat Khuddam hollow. And it was not just a joke, it was so. Because when I mentioned it, in general, to a group when I passed by the same table, so one of the Ansar stalwarts came forward and said, yes, he was right and I was the one who did it. So mashallah, Ansar can eat well, although the Khuddam can cook better. Now, as far as the attendance of the prayers is concerned, let's end up on this serious note. Attendance in prayers is always referred to as deficient, although much efforts have been made to improve the quality. In Germany, I can tell you with confidence, because I've witnessed it myself, the standard of attendance of prayer was so wonderful and so encouraging in every respect that every time, during every prayer, I saw the hall filled with people, Nawazis. And that was a great improvement in the quality of Khuddam there this year. You see, if you say that the barbecue was well attended, that's no credit. It will always be well attended. But if you say the mosques were well attended, that is a real credit which goes to Khuddam and to all believers. Incidentally, it reminded me of an observation of Hazrat Aqdas Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who compared the attendance of the mosque exactly with the attendance of food invitations. So once, in a very deeply reflective mood, with a sense of sorrow, he said, look here, what has come of people if they are invited even to a trotter's foot cooked, trotter's foot, you know what it means? What we call pie or crode is referred to as trotters in English. So if you want to go for a trotter's dish, find out in any restaurant, find it out under the title trotter. So they are referred to as crode. The crodas are referred to as trotters. So he mentioned that and said, even if you cook 1 foot of a goat and invite people, they will all respond. They will come to partake of that small thing. And he chose the example of a trotter because this is the lowest part of the body which always moves along the earth. So an earthly exhibition is what he's pointing at, that a thing of the body which is so earthly, it moves along, and that also belongs to animals. They have greater regard for that, greater enthusiasm and appetite for that than what is the best of the parties. There is the party for the sake of Allah that is held in the mosques 5 times a day. So this is a psychological comparison which indicates the deeper inner intentions and preferences. Unless we make Khuddam realize that namaz offers them this food for thought, food for spirit, food for everything good, which is essential for their spiritual survival. Only then they can gradually realize the importance of prayer, and then they would be starting saying prayers in their houses, in their privacies, being at home or a journey. They will never miss the prayer. And that is where I feel there is a lot of deficiency, and that is where I feel proper attempts have not been made to make Khuddam awaken to this reality, to stir them up, to make them realize where they miss such an important activities for their own spiritual survival. What measures could you take? I am not going to suggest all the measures. I have been talking on this subject for long during my khutbahs and at other occasions during my addresses. But however much I say, I am never satiated reminding you and drawing your attention to this, because there is a lot of work to be done. So it is better for the new Majlis Amla to take this issue up in their first meeting together, and seriously so. And also, I render the same advice to the newly constituted Majlis Amla of the Jamaat as a whole. They are going to hold a meeting within a few days, and they requested me to be present in the first meeting. So I want this to be the agenda. Even if the only agenda, it should be the agenda, and they should come prepared thinking of various possible successful, fruitful measures which could be adopted. The whole Jamaat of UK should turn into a Jamaat of the worshippers. And this is highly important for our survival. If we do that, then the second task of calling people to the path of Allah will be made that much easier and that much more fruitful. What we miss in the quality of piety, fear of Allah, love of God, etc., is in fact the real cause of our failure in attracting others to the path of Allah. The verses of the Holy Quran which were read before you speak on this subject. It was said, in translation, it was said that who is better of speech than the one who calls towards the path of Allah, but also the one who does righteous deeds and says, I am of those who have submitted. Now there are three claims made in this. Number one, who is better of speech? Really the word used is وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Ahsan can of course be translated as better of speech, but the word ahsan is a much wider word of application. And for every Da'i Allah, it is essential to understand the full import of the word used in the Holy Quran in this context. Husn means beauty, charm, anything of attraction. And Haseen is the one who is beautiful, who is charming, who is attractive. Ahsan means the best of those who charm people, who attract people, who are so beautiful that to be gravitated to them is a natural response. Nobody can help it. So in this context, the word qal, ahsanu qalan, should be understood. Qalan here is the invitation to God. So Allah points out that your invitation has to be most attractive, most beautiful, most charming. It should carry the quality of drawing people's attention. So that is one very essential part of preaching. Some people preach and preach and preach and are always rejected and neglected. Sometimes they become bores for the society and people shun their presence lest they should start preaching to them. Some preach and yet become more popular. And it is these who become successful preachers, and they're always loved by the society around. So it all depends on how you invite somebody to the path of Allah. But one thing is certain, that the Holy Quran wants you to be attractive in your manner of invitation. In every way, choose the best style, the best manner in which you can invite people to the path of Allah. Secondly, the second condition laid down, is وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. anyone who can be referred to as the best of speech but does not support his word of mouth by his action, which is in harmony with the word, will be rejected by the society as a sort of hypocrite, if not in so many words. At least he will not be able to create any impression of the society, because people know who means something and who does not. So if you talk well and good and talk of excellent things, while your own daily conduct is repulsive, how can you expect your word to carry the day? It will in fact have no effect. So this is the meaning of the Quranic verse وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, which means the word, the act of such a person should be matching the word of such a person. Both should be in harmony. So that will make your preaching doubly attractive. وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. And then he makes the claim that I am of those who have submitted to the will of Allah. Now such a man who is described in these verses naturally becomes the focus of attention of the people around him, whether he's at office or at school or at college, wherever he is. A man who is genuinely dedicated to the cause of Allah, and his style of invitation is beautiful, and his daily conduct is so sober and well balanced and well poised, such a man is bound to draw attention from all around him. And then he can introduce himself that I have achieved all this because of submission to the will of Allah. If anyone wants to be like me, he should also submit. So it is through submission that you reach God, and the doors leading to God are opened. Now this is what I want the Khuddam to do, but when we talk of the good deeds, here I want to further adjudicate you on the word amila salihan. The expression, amila salihan. Whenever you read the Quran, the best conduct mentioned in the Quran everywhere is prayer to Allah. That is salat. 5 times prayer which is institutionalized, or other prayer which is optional, which you say during the night or other odd hours during the day, which is not compulsory, is called nafil. So both these prayers are mentioned in the Holy Quran repeatedly after the faith. Those who believe and do good deeds, those who believe and do good deeds, and the good deeds are further explained to be worship of Allah. Right in the beginning of the Holy Quran, you come across this, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Who are these believers we refer to? They are those who believe in God and say prayers. So to believe in God and to say prayers is bracketed in the Holy Quran as if they are interdependent, and they are interdependent. Because if you believe in something of beauty, then not to seek that thing of beauty would give a lie to your praise of such a person. You love somebody because somebody is beautiful to you, and if he is actually beautiful or she is actually beautiful, then for you to be attracted to that thing is but a natural phenomenon which follows automatically, for which there is no effort required on your part. So if you want to move effortlessly towards God, you must begin to realize that He is beautiful. He is the source of all beauty. He it is who adorns things, and it is His absence from things which makes them ugly. Now this is a short statement, but everything of value lies within this statement. You must understand God, and when you begin to understand God, then you know what beauty is. And as you proceed further, then automatically you are drawn towards God. So worship born out of love. That is what the Holy Quran speaks of. That is what the Holy Quran wants to impress upon our minds, that this is the only way to success. You believe in a God whose as a consequence of that belief, you must immediately start worshipping Him. Now, worshipping is understood to mean paying of homage. But it is not in Islam the sort of homage paid to the kings or the homage paid by a slave to his master, which may be superficial. In Islam, worship always has the connotation of love. So a belief in God which is superficial, whereby you do not understand what He is, only you benefit from all the best in life which you receive from Him without knowing who is giving you. You don't see the hand which feeds you, but occasionally try to bite the hand by rejecting Him, by refusing to obey. That is the meaning of biting of hand that feeds. In case of God, without realizing what we are doing, we do keep biting at the hand or attempting to bite at the hand which feeds us, which provides us everything. So to travel into God, that also is a phrase of the Holy Quran. This is the meaning of traveling into God. You contemplate God right from your childhood, talk of God and the beauties of creation, the beauties of all that He touches, whether they are apparent or hidden. But if you open your eyes and watch anything in life, everything will have its own inherent beauty which will begin to become apparent to you. So that is the realization which in fact is the real root of all acceptable worship on the part of God. The rest of the worship may be mechanical. It may be 5 times a day, even it may be more. But that is just a mechanical worship which is not, in which God is not interested. Worship in this context means that you know to whom you are closing, upon whom you are closing, and whom you seek to get closer to you. That should always be the ultimate motive of all worship. And if you do it with that realization and consciousness, then worship itself will support worship. More interest will be born out of worship itself. And then you begin to traverse the path of unlimited success, which is referred to in the Holy Quran as Sirat-e-Mustaqim. So briefly, what I'm saying is, is the message of Surah Fatiha. It begins with the introduction of Allah and presents Him in such a wonderful way and such a profound way that if you begin to contemplate the concept of God as mentioned in Surah Fatiha's first verses, then willy-nilly you are bound to fall in love with that Supreme Being. As you are ready to love, then comes to your aid the following verse, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. We have decided to worship you and worship you alone, because after knowing you we find none other worthy of worship. It is the same profession you make every time you profess Kalima la ilaha illallah. It is He alone who is worthy of worship. So Iyyaka na'budu means we want to worship you, we have decided to worship you. And to you alone shall we bow. We will worship Thee and Thee alone. But how? Iyyaka nasta'een. We want help from you. Only you can help us fulfill the requirements of worship and to draw the best benefits from worship. So as I said earlier, worship begins to help worship. And this verse is central to this issue. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. Thee alone shall we worship, and Thee alone we seek for help. And the natural consequence of this is, the natural result of this submission, and this is submission, we referred to earlier as submission. This is the meaning of submission. The natural result of this submission is that you are put onto the path of those who received blessings of Allah earlier before you, to whom Allah rewarded with the best of things. So the next prayer after this is Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. O our Lord, lead us to that straight path which never ends. Now when I said never ends, this is implied in it. In fact, if you remember your early teaching student days when you were taught mathematics and geometry, you remember they told you that the only line which never bends on itself and does not end, which is limitless, is a straight line. A straight line can never end. All other lines come to an end. Even if you have within you some twist, that twist can be likened unto a twisted line. It will turn upon itself and get involved. But a man with no twist has a straight line before him, and if he begins to travel in the direction of Lord, to the direction of Allah the Lord, then there is the only course which leads to God, which is straight. No other course can lead to Him. All the rest of the courses you follow in the name of following Allah, return upon you, and you get involved in your own tangles. The only path which leads to God is the straight path, because it's never ending. And God is never ending. So what a beautiful verse this is, which Surah Fatiha has granted us. After introduction of the Holy Quran, then of Allah and His basic characteristics or characters, or let's say attributes I should say, then it leads us to that prayer that Thee we worship and Thee alone shall we worship, but we seek Your help, Thy help, and Thy help alone. To what end? To put us on the path of straight line. And it is a straight line alone which can lead to God, nothing else. And the straight line begins from our own inner thoughts and intentions. Of course I could speak much longer on this issue because I have been speaking and I have never been able to exhaust the subject. Nobody, no one on earth can ever exhaust the meanings of Surah Fatiha. But here I have particularly in mind the beginning of the straight path. The beginning takes place within your heart and within your minds. If the path which emerges from your heart and mind is straight, then you can be sure of being set on the straight path. If it's twisted within, then it can never be straightened. So when you pray to Allah, actually what you are praying for is, please give us pious, genuine, true, sincere intentions. We have expressed our intention that we want to worship You, but maybe we are wrong. Maybe there is a twist within. Maybe it's only a verbal or lip service. and maybe we never actually want to worship you, that is just incidental to our lives. If that is so, then we will never be able to be led to the straight path. And it is the straight path we are aiming at. So the straight path requires a straight intention, a straightforward attitude and approach. So when you say, "Oh God, we want to worship you," search your heart and find out, do you really want to worship God or not? If you do, why don't you respond to the call of 5-time prayers? Every day you give light to your own intentions and claims and prayers. This is no way of life. There is no way of living like a believer. The very first criterion for the believer is not fulfilled. So the matter we are discussing is of a grave importance. And I draw your attention as Khuddam and as Jamaat as a whole, that unless you make this realization alive in every man and every boy and every girl and every child and every old man, that daily you make a vow to Allah, unfortunately most often that vow is false. And we don't mean it. If you pray to Allah meaningfully, being conscious of what you're saying, being fully aware of what you're begging Him, then when you say these words, "Oh God, Thee alone we worship," the very words will shake you like an earthquake. They will awaken you to the realities of life as never before you had witnessed them. You say, "Oh, I am saying something which perhaps I do not mean." Then after that realization of utter frustration on your own part, the second part of this prayer would come to your help, "Iyyaka nasta'in." Then the full meaning of nasta'in will dawn upon you like it had never dawned upon you before. Iyyaka nasta'in, we said we want to pray to you, we want to worship you. We claim that we want to worship you alone. But oh God, we are weak. Already we have discovered that perhaps we are not meaningful in this claim. Iyyaka nasta'in, so Thee alone we seek for help. Come to our help and make the matters of prayer straightforward for us and genuine and sincere. So that when we say Iyyaka na'budu, we always mean that Iyyaka na'budu. If you pray and in this sense, as I have just explained to you, keeping this meaning of Iyyaka na'budu wa Iyyaka nasta'in, then you will begin to see this prayer come to fruit. It always does. It never fails. But you should do it with full consciousness. So awaken this awareness among Khuddam and all the sections of Ahmadi society in England. And whoever tries this formula, as I have just suggested, will bear witness within a short time that God did hear to his prayer, did listen to it, and responded favorably. While without this realization, you can go on praying all your life with no result. You will remain as disinterested in prayer as you ever were, and the prayer will just become a source of mechanical attachment to religion, no more. And that is meaningless. I don't want such worshippers to be created in Ahmadiyya. We need true, genuine worshippers, one and all, without a single exception. And if that is what you become, then barbecues will be pale in comparison to your attendance of prayers and mosques, etc. And that is what is so important for our spiritual life, for our survival in fact. So Allah bless you. I know the task is difficult, but this is our task, this is granted, this is entrusted to us, And all our life we must serve this cause and should never rest in peace until we know that we are producing more genuine worshippers who believe and worship as Allah wants us to do. Allah bless you all, and with that I end this address and take leave of you. Thank you all who have participated. Thank you all who have managed to organize this work and have worked tirelessly, or even when they were tired, still they worked on to make this Ijtema successful. Allah bless you all, and now we will join in silent prayer, and that will be the end of this Ijtema. Rami.